What up, everybody? It's your girl Satimia back in the house on It's Fine. It's Fine. Everything's Fine podcast. So, I know I was supposed to make the part 2. And, to my, I don't even remember what I ended up naming it. But whatever, the part 2 to my whole story about what happened with my mom. And I was going to do it like right away. I actually was thinking about I initially was going to do it the same day that here, let me turn this off so this isn't like just being obnoxious in the background. Obviously, once again, I'm door dashing, but I don't have anything popping up. So I was like, you know what? This is the time. I'm feeling it, And there was another time I was feeling it, but I ended up getting busy. And then, I actually had started trying to make it, multiple times. I initially planned on making my part 2 that same day because I was, still so amped about it. And I was like, yeah, I'm on a roll here. I'm just going to finish it out. And then, I didn't. And then, I was going to make it multiple other times. And then just things kept coming up or, whatever. And then by the time it'd be I had time to do it, I just wasn't even in the mood. But it's been an eventful few days. Really, I would say I guess an eventful week. And because I'm pretty sure I made that last week. I have to go check to really know for sure. But either way, I'm glad I waited though. So I guess I kind of said all that to say this, because I am really happy that I waited. Because I want to go into the lessons that I've actually recently learned just since I made that podcast. I've had some revelations, and I actually recently have also cut off even more people. But I had a moment in between, this time where I am disappointed in myself. Because I very much so did something I didn't want to do, which was resort back to an old habit, which was absolutely losing it. And, because obviously when I was talking about the story with my mom and everything, I ended up handling that really well. At the moment, I just ended up texting her and being it hurt my feelings, but I hope the best, and she wants to give me a call to call me, whatever. But then literally within the same day, my brother, quote unquote, I guess you could say, because I've known him since we were 5, but he's not my blood, but blood couldn't have made us any closer. He ended up doing some foul stuff. And honestly, I was going to go into the whole rant of the whole story and everything else, because that's where I was at with the whole still being all the way amped up. But now I'm honestly, all that doesn't even matter. Because, and once again, I will say too, when I said I had my moment, I'm going to focus on that and then focus kind of on the whole lessons and everything I learned. Because, I had a moment where I reverted to my old self because my mom did what she did, and then my brother, so my 23 or 20 plus, it's been 23 years that I've known my sorta, like I said, I call him my brother, but he's not my blood brother, but he couldn't be my brother anymore. He just solidified our ending of our relationship. And then my grandmother also, it was a triple whammy. My grandma did something so bogus that, I didn't even know how to respond to it, because out of all those people, my grandma has been just first of all, she's been on this tyrant with me, which is a long story and I could get into all the details, but I'm not trying to focus on that right at this moment. I'm not even focused on what she actually did, because I'll save that for another one. But what I will focus on is the whole principle of the whole matter that, she has completely gone too far with me. And the thing is, my grandma's always been the mother in my life, she's the one who's like just always displayed what a real mother is, as far as like she cooks, she cleans, she, you know, sews, her and my grandma have been married for like almost 50 years or 50 years, something like that. You know, my grandma definitely is a woman who has dedicated her life to her family. And that's like really admirable. But the problem is where this issue in our life has come up multiple times now. It actually is regarding my daughter, because it's like, oops, spilling myself. Yeah. When it comes to my daughter, my grandma has been, you know, like my baby daddy the whole time, because her dad, you know, is not involved. Or I guess he only just in the last year started to be involved a little bit. And basically, to make a long story short, you know, so my grandparents in general have kind of took the place in the role of what he was supposed to be doing for me. But my grandma specifically, more than anything, has been the main other caretaker outside of me. And me and my grandma and my daughter, like, we are the closest ones, all of us, you know, like, my grandma I used to talk to my grandmother every single day, you know, over the last, since I was 17, so for pretty much the last 10 years, it's like we've talked damn near every single day, if not, you know, at least 5 out of 7 days, we're talking at least once or twice a day, you know, and sometimes more than that. And like, I don't know, I think what it boils down to is like, there's a level of fear in my growth, right, with my family, that like, if I don't need them ever, then like I won't be around. But that's crazy, because, you know, why wouldn't I want to be around my family? Like, obviously, I love my grandparents. I think there was always, like, this fear of, like, obviously, at first, it was the fear of me not being responsible enough to handle, like, them not being around. But when that was obviously proven, then it was just the fear of, like, oh, man, now we're not going to be needed. And then what are we going to do with ourselves? Because my grandma, that's, like, she has her little hobbies, but we're her thing, you know, as our family, and everybody else does already have their own things going on in their own lives, and they're not as close to my grandparents as I have always been, and I am. But, you know, with the more level of independency I've achieved, it's almost like I thought everything was okay, but then all of a sudden this, like, showed me that it's like, no, there's, like, this weird fear going on there that's, like, created them to make irrational decisions. And then now that they're feeling bad about their decisions they've made when it came to me and my daughter and this whole thing, you know, they're like basically treating me like I'm the problem, because they don't want to have to acknowledge that they did something that was not right. And I say all that to say, like, I think that's a very normal human nature thing, you know, where we are all guilty of trying to make somebody a bad guy when we're not where we need to be. Ooh, excuse me. I don't know if you're going to hear that in the podcast, but anyways, the point I'm making is I don't know. If you guys did hear that, I have serious gas, and I don't know why. I think I don't know. I must have ate something or something. My belly's feeling weird. Anyways, TMI, I don't care. But, anyways, the point I was trying to make is, you know, I think there's a level of we're all guilty of wanting to point the finger, especially when we did do something wrong, because we feel bad, because we know we were wrong, and we like to try to justify it by just, like, trying to, like, ignore what we did and focus solely on what somebody else did, whether it's, like, being like, well, I wouldn't have did that if you didn't do this, like, kind of attitude, when the reality is this, it's like, we never have a right to be shitty, no matter if it's deserved or not, you know. And then that goes into where, you know, me and believe, you know, my belief in God and the Bible and Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. You know, and obviously, once again, I'm not trying to make this just a biblical thing, because you are entitled to your beliefs, and I'm not here to shove Jesus down your throat. But what I am here to do is help people to learn how to be better people in general. And if I can lead them to God, even better. But if it even only is about, just seeing an improvement in the world, that is also wonderful, because I know that's what God wants of me. Because it's like, I want to see people be the best versions of themselves and be accountable and grow as into their best person that they could be. Because, it's like, I see this video today and it said, the truth hurts, but the truth also sets you free. And it's like, it is hard to admit things to ourselves, and it's hard to admit when we are wrong, and it's hard to be, get the reality check of like, dang, maybe I am the problem. Like, maybe there are things I need to work on. And then it's even harder to actually work on them, because when you're so used to and conditioned to being a certain way or thinking a certain way, like, it is a process to like change and actually like relinquish what you've always known to become what you need to be and what you want to be for real. Because the bottom line is, like, no matter what you want out of life, it's like, unless you work for it, it doesn't happen. There's no such thing as it happens overnight. Like, you don't just get to make a decision and then boom, that's just what it is. Like, even when you make the decision that you want to be a better person, then it's not just the simple like, oh, I want to be a better person, now I'm just gonna be a better person, and boom, that's just how it, like, because I said that and because I want that, that's what it is. Like, no, you want to be a better person, you want to work towards being a better person, or, change your ways, like, then you have to do that actively every day on a regular basis, from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed, and I think that that's where people end up giving up, because it's exhausting. And then this is where one of the things I wanted to say, and the last one I never did, was like, the best analogy for changing yourself and even once you've changed, maintaining it, is the best analogy is the idea that you are a house, right? You are a house, and your mind, your body, your soul, like, they're houses, right? And every single day you have to clean to maintain them. And if you don't clean every day and, pick up after yourself and, like, deep clean every so often, the house gets dirty. And before you know it, the house is gross, and, you got so much work to do that you don't even want to do it anymore, and you're trying to pay someone else, and then eventually you got to pay someone else to do it, or you just live in your filth. And that is so metaphorical for, like, focus, making sure that you are on top of paying attention to, like, where you are in life, like, what you're doing. Like, are you making sure that you're cleaning your house? Are you making sure to, like, look around and say, what needs to be picked up? What needs to be taken away? What needs to be put back? What needs to, get some wiping down? What needs to be rearranged? Like, because the thing about a house is this too, right? Like, when you own a house, anybody who owns a house knows, or lives in any house, period, knows that if you don't do it every day, and I'm not saying just picking up, I'm saying cleaning. Like, you pick up and you clean. You put things away, you organize things, and you wipe everything down, and you're making sure, you're every day you're doing it. Or else what happens? Things start piling up, before you know it, the dishes are to the fucking roof. There's bottles everywhere, like, whether that be liquor or pop bottles, whatever. There's food everywhere. There's clothes everywhere. There's laundry that needs to be done. Like, and it's just piling and piling up if you don't do it regularly, if not daily, and it's like, but the thing about cleaning is this, that once you do it on a regular basis, the more you do it regularly, the better, easier it is. It's only when you let it go for too long that it gets overwhelming. But the thing about people is this, some people have never cleaned their house. I know we've all been in a house. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure we've all been in somebody's house that we were like, oh my goodness, gross. Have you ever cleaned your house? Right? And that's like when you walk into somebody's house and you see it's all like dirty, and you don't even want to sit down for real. You barely want to sit on their toilet. You don't want to like move too much because you don't know what might run at you, like, worried about if you might have a bug in that bitch, like, like, nobody wants to be in a dirty house, but everybody also has been in a house that you're like, wow, it's so nice and neat and clean in here. I can find anything. Everything is exactly where everything's supposed to be. And it's just so, and it's like, what feels better? What looks better? A really nice, clean, organized house, or a dirty, messy, sloppy, bug infested, roach infested, rat infested house? We all know the answer. And that's a perfect example of people, like, in us as people, like, understanding that our minds, our bodies, and our souls are houses, in analogy-wise, where it's like, nobody wants to be around the person who never cleaned their house. Nobody wants to be around the person who who's okay with living in filth, living in mess, living in dirtiness. Isn't it so much better when we are around people who have that nice, clean, organized house? It's like they're well put together. They're nice, they're kind, they're understanding. They check themselves. They take accountability. That's what we like to see in life. We all want that. We all want to go into somebody's house and be like, wow, this is a beautiful home you got. Not like, ugh, like, I can't wait to leave here. But that's the reality, is that's what happens in life as people. When we are the dirty house, it's like, who wants to be around that? Don't be surprised when everybody leaves you or doesn't want to be around you, and then eventually your house gets condemned, because it's like, it's unlivable. You can't be like that. I think a condemnation of a house is a perfect example of a person ends up crashing out and going to prison. Like, you hit a point in life, like or someone who just constantly is going to prison. It's like, dude, if you keep going to prison, it's probably because you're not learning your lessons, which means you're probably that person who's never cleaning your house. You're not evaluating what's going on, and you're allowing yourself to just do whatever. Just throw your cups wherever you want to throw them. Just dumping your clothes out, throwing the ashes everywhere, leaving food out. Like, that's just gross. And that's just like with that. It's like, that's no way to be. You want to always get in trouble. And because you can't just do whatever. I mean, you can, but there's consequences. So that's why I say the condemnation as a perfect example. Because it's like, if you let a house get gross enough and dirty enough, the city can come in and say, hey, this is a health hazard, and we're going to shut this down. And they'll condemn your house. Or a house, whatever. And the point is like the idea of a person, too. If you do whatever you want to do, just doing whatever all the time and everything else, and you're not thinking clearly and you're making poor decisions, like, that's how you end up in bad situations that end up landing you in prison. And usually you are who you attract. And the more of a I don't give a fuck kind of person you are, is the more I don't give a fuck kind of people you're going to cling to. And those people who don't give a fuck and have nothing to lose, have exactly that, nothing to lose. And if you have anything to lose, they will help you lose it, because they don't. And they're not thinking about you and what you got going on. So I kind of went off on a rant there, like always. But I basically, let me see what else. Because I wrote some notes down. I always do that. Ooh, excuse me again. I always write down notes when I am making multiples of a podcast. Once again, you know me, I'm always authentic with it. I mean, once I start talking, dang, that one stunk. So the thing, side note, another TMI moment. My farts really never stink. Like, they really don't. Like, anybody who knows me knows I fart all the time in front of anybody, and I really don't care. And that's why I'm going to say it on here, too, because I wouldn't be being real, the real authentic me, if I didn't, like, fart, and then you maybe heard it, and then I just didn't say anything. or wanted to edit it out or something, which I never edit anything out, so this is what it is. But anyways, my farts never really stink, but it's a rare occurrence they do, and they do right now, and that's crazy. I'm like, dang, I just hotbox myself in this car. It's horrible. It's cold outside. Wow. Anyways, I know it's gross, and I don't care, because I'm a person, and everybody farts. And that's what I hate. You know what? And I'm going to rant off on this real fast. I'm going to get back to what I was talking about. I hate that. What is up with this fake idea that women are not allowed to fart and burp? And, you know what I'm saying? It's like, at least if I say excuse me, then it's not a big deal, because everybody farts. Everybody burps. It's only offensive. Like, if I had, with my stinky farts I got right now, I'm not going to, like, let one rip in front of everybody if it stinks. But my farts don't stink. Not usually. Like, I would say 9.9 out of 10 times my farts do not stink. But that 0.1, man, they be reeking. I'll be like, damn, what did I eat? But I think that's, excuse me, usually why I don't have stinky farts. Because I'm a fairly healthy person. So I think that, you know, that plays a part in it. But anywho, okay, that's all a giant side note. To what I was really going to get to the point of, like, I always make my notes, and I am authentic when I do my, you know, my podcast. Like, I'll write notes, but I don't actually, like, I don't like plan it out and be like, I'm gonna say exactly this. I just want to, like, script it out. You know, I just, like, I might put some notes down to keep me from being like squirrel, because, you know, that's my main thing I do. Even with notes, I still can end up doing that. But I try to put this down to have, like, references to things so I can kind of stay on track the best I can. But anyways, you know, it's like, I wrote a side note because something I left out in the last one when I was explaining the story of what happened with my mom. You know, I mentioned how, like, she never hit me up, and she just was, and I called her out about, like, who was she with, and she said she was with my grandpa. And it was like, I said to her, and I didn't say it in the story, but I meant to say it, that, you know, when she said that, I'm like, so you could make time to call grandpa, but you didn't make time to call me. And I only say that part because it's a perfect thing to go into what I was ultimately saying with the cleaning the house thing. That it's like, you make time for what you want to make time for at the end of the day. And people make time for the things they want to make time for. So something over these because, like, I just recently actually cut off the last couple people who I was very close to. And now I have 0 people from my past in my life right now. Like, right in this current moment, the only person that I have been moving forward with in a friendship is oh shit, sorry, I got a message, my bad. The only person that I am currently friends with is somebody I just recently met within the last year. And she is literally a godsend, you know. It's like, and ironically, I met her through my brother, who I fell out with the 20 plus years. I call him my brother, but he wasn't my real brother. And obviously, it wasn't my real brother, literally, or metaphorically, because it's like, the way he ended up doing me was so bogus, it was insane. And then me and her had made this friendship, right? And then he was trying to end that because of his bitterness, excuse me, again, because he ultimately, you know, got busted out for being this shitty guy. And then he was trying to be on some, like, you gotta pick sides. And it's like, how childish is it to ask somebody to pick a side? You know, it's like, are we 12? Like, I didn't care. I knew they lived together, and our relationship had nothing to do with me and him falling out. And I think that's something where it's like, if you're an adult, you don't tell people to pick sides. I feel like, obviously, it depends on the situation. Like, I'm not going to hang out with someone who's, like, friends with a blatant enemy of mine, because that's how people be playing double sides and shit like that. And I know that. But that's not what I ultimately want to do, is tell someone what to do, because it's like, what ended up happening was exactly the point of why it's not worth it. And she ended up coming to the conclusion that he's been wrong the whole time anyways. And that was the whole reason why I ended up looking at him differently, was because I found out he was talking bad about me. And it's like, I would never do that to him. You know, my biggest thing I've been going through that's like actually hurt my feelings like all the way through and through more than anything is the assassination of my character to truly make it sound like I'm this monster of a person. And that's insane because I've been doing nothing for the last, I would say for the last 4 to 5 years straight now. I have been out my whole life, but especially in these last 4 to 5 years, I have grown so much, and like I've always strived to be a better person, to be a good person. Did I have some years in my life when I was lost and I was wilding out because I was hurt, because I had been through a lot at that point in my life, and I finally had an opportunity to have some power, and I used it in the wrong way because I was just being wild and selfish, but I was still never being malicious. Like, I was never intentionally trying to disrupt people's lives by my recklessness of my life. I just wasn't necessarily I was being careless in the sense of I wasn't being conscientious of the way it was affecting other people and how they felt because of how they were worried about me and how they didn't know if I was going to be able to do what I needed to do correctly, or you know, like I had my daughter and like me making reckless decisions that were affecting my own self. Therefore, if I were to have died or something bad happened to me, go to prison, you know, drinking and driving, like all types of stuff. You know, everybody does things that they shouldn't do. And had I got wrapped up in some nonsense, there could have, being around people that, you know, could have put me in a bad position. There's so many different things that could have happened during that time that it's like, had I had something bad like that happen to me, you know, my daughter was going to be affected. So I understand, because like, just because I wasn't doing anything to her or around her that was dangerous, me being dangerous on my own time was just as bad because I am her mother and I am responsible for her. So had something happen to me, it immediately would directly affect her. And I wasn't able to see it like that right away because I was still so young. But I was saying originally too, though, but like I have made my conscious choice, right, to do better. And so that goes back into the whole point of what I'm saying, that it's like, I've allowed people to convince me that they really don't know better. And, you know, for too long in my life, I don't do that anymore. And that's why I fell out with the last bit of people that I had close to me, because what I'm not going to tolerate anymore in my life, between family, friends, I don't care who it is in my life. I don't care what kind of bond we have, even my own children. It's like, you cannot tell me, if I know that you know better and you're choosing not to do better, that, you know, like, I'm supposed to just excuse your poor behavior just because you want to pretend like you don't know that it's bad behavior. Or I'm not going to take your blame and make it seem like I am the problem when you're the problem, just because you don't want to admit it, because that would shatter your fake belief that you're better than what you are. You know, it's like, I have spent so much of my life trying to prove a point to people that I am good and I am worthy and I am lovable and I am kind and I care. I spent so much of my life trying to make a point to like show people that I have a good heart and that I'm caring and I really want what's best for everyone too. But what I realized when I was talking to God was, over the whole situation that happened, and then I'll also swing back into why I was disappointed in myself and kind of elaborate more on that, was I realized that through all this, like, feeling this need to prove a point to people and, you know, like, be there for others, you know, more than I was there for myself, and, you know, caring too much about what other people thought of me and trying to prove everybody. And it wasn't even just so much that I was trying to, like, make them happy, because, like, it wasn't always about so much making them happy, but it was more of, like, proving a point, because I always wanted to prove a point. I wanted to prove a point that I could be me, I could do what I wanted, how I wanted, and, like, it was going to be okay. Like, I knew what I was doing. I was going to be okay. Like, trying to prove a point that I am intelligent. Like, I think before I act. Even when I was young and I didn't have wisdom like that, I still had intelligence my whole life. So it's like, even for being young and reckless, like, it seemed a lot more reckless than what I was really being, because I would think about things before I was just doing them. It's just my problem really has always been putting my faith in people, like allowing myself to be, looking for that community in the wrong places, because I wanted to just connect to people and have friends and, have these bonds with people. I always wanted to be in love. Like, I just wanted to have all these, like, good things, but I was going about it all the wrong ways, because the reality was I wasn't loving myself correctly. And it's hard to learn how to love yourself correctly when the whole world has taught me to hate myself on both ends, like from even being mixed, it's like on your white side, they're always criticizing you and treating you like you're lesser than because of your black side. On your black side, they're always treating you like you're not the same as them because you're white, you're not the same as us, you're white, and it's like neither of them accept you and neither of them like you. They either hate you or, not saying you don't get love, but it's you get the best and the worst, but you more often than not get the worst of both worlds, because you're not black enough and you're not white enough. And you're just kind of stuck in this in between where nobody understands you and you're constantly getting criticized and you're constantly getting hated on. And it's hard and it teaches you to just like hate yourself. So I had to learn how to love myself and feel like accepted within myself without anybody else's approval. And I just now at 27 have finally got there, because I had to understand that I've been tolerating a lot of things that I never deserved and never should have been experiencing or tolerating or accepting, because I was not loving myself correctly. And thankfully for me, I found my true love of myself through God. And now whether you want to do that or not is on you. That was for me the only way I was able to find it, because I had sought professional help and I had watched tons of psychology videos and I was trying to do my soul searching on my own, and it didn't work out for me. It didn't. God was the only thing that finally got my attention enough and through my relationship with him, that was the only way that I was able to find solitude and being like, you know what, it is time for me to seriously focus on loving myself, because I am a good person and I am a loving, kind soul and I am compassionate. And where I'm also going with this is that through not being loving enough to myself, respecting myself enough, loyal to myself enough, giving my all to everyone except for me, it created a ton of bitterness and anger. And not just anger, rage. And what sucks is for a long time, I did used to have a very revengeful spirit, because I wouldn't go around doing shit to people. So when somebody, would do something to me, I would take it so personally and I would let them do it for a long time. And I build up this rage to the point that when I retaliated, I would do something so bad to them that it would be, it would be like what I did to them. The one thing I would do to them that was just so blatantly shitty is it would overpower how they would even be able to see all the things they did to me, because it was I would go too far. And it was but that's because I was so built up in anger because of how many times they disrespected me and fucked me over and abandoned me, that when I finally was fuck you, I calculatedly did it to hurt you on purpose, because it was you hurt me too many times. Now you got to feel this pain because you got me fucked up, But that was not right. And I stopped being that way because I was sick of being the bad guy to everybody for what they did to me. But, what I realized is I was still holding on to this anger and this rage for a long time. And I thought I was, because I had managed it well, and I thought that I was taking care of it because I wasn't just lashing out on people like I used to, and I wouldn't be revengeful like I once was, and all these things. It's I was getting better at it. And the reality was I was working on it the whole time, yes, and I had a good handle on it. And the other part of it was I had a very slow burn to my anger. Obviously, once again, when I was a raging hormonal teenager, I had no chill. But as I'm saying, even in my adult, and even then, I didn't just go around beating people up when I could have. Because I'm really fucking strong. And I could have been a real bully out here. And I never was. Because it just wasn't really in my heart to be that way. But I was still harboring this anger. So when it did come out, when I would snap, whatever that would be, for whatever reason it was, and it would always be for a reason. It was never just because. It was always for a reason. In the midst of that, I still continue to get this reputation like I'm just this hard body, like angry, like aggressive person. And it's like, even though I never really was, I just, like, was I able to be that type of person? Absolutely. Am I just that person? Absolutely not. I'm actually always been a real chill, fun loving, good time type of person. I like to have fun. I'm always smiling. I'm always laughing. Nothing is more satisfying to me than just being happy. It's like, that's all I've ever wanted. That's all I want to be, is peaceful and happy. I don't ever want to, like, I've never wanted to fight with people. I've never wanted to have problems with people. I don't like to do that. I've never liked to do that. I've never liked to have a problem. I've never liked to start. I've never been a problem just starter. I've never just intentionally gone around doing people wrong or maliciously making selfish decisions where it's like, I know this is gonna piss someone off and I don't give a fuck type of attitude, like making fun of people or picking on people or just doing things to make them upset. Like, I never was like that. But at the same time, like I said, it's like when I would just be really angry though, and then when I freak out because of being done wrong or whatever the case, or if I was just mad about something, I mean, it was always directly correlated to like someone personally attacking me. It's like, once I fucking lost it, it was like I was just so rageful that everybody's like, oh, Mia's just, she be snapping, she's crazy. And it's like, no, I'm really not. Oh, where am I phone going? It's like, no, I'm really not that crazy. I just don't have time for your dumb shit anymore, But I had a long talk with God, and he was saying to me, he was like, it's time to let go of that anger. He was like, because who the anger is really hurting? It was really hurting me, holding on to that, like it was resentment, the disappointment, the hurt, the sadness, and not allowing it to be just that sadness, letting it become, because anger is a secondary emotion. So having to break it down and understand, like, I wasn't angry for no reason, and I had every right to be mad when I was. But the bottom line is to just be, like, to hold on to that, though, is not healthy and not okay. And that is that's on me. And I don't have to be angry anymore. I can be just sad now, It's like, I didn't want to cry because I didn't want to be weak. Because it's like, I didn't want to show that to people because I already wore my heart on my sleeve and people already stomped on it. So I had to keep it guarded in some way, and anger was my way of guarding my feelings and guarding my heart, because it was like they were breaking it still, and instead of allowing them to see that I was sad and being like honest about how it hurt my feelings, how I was disappointed in their actions, and expressing it in a healthy way, I'd let it come out in anger, and then I was yelling and I was cussing. I was like completely missing the point, which was to express what was like the problem and I'd make it be like an attack. I was attacking them instead of attacking the actions they were doing that were upsetting me. And then that's why it seemed like I was just this raging bitch that was just so mean and everything else, when that everybody knew deep in their heart, though, who's ever dealt with me, anybody who's ever been close to me, they know that that's not true about me. They know I'm not just a bitch and I'm just miserable and angry and mean and shitty with people. Like, no, not at all. I'm exactly the opposite of all those things. However, I can get like that, and when I get like that, it's extreme, And so now I am officially working on that, and I had slipped up and I really lost it on my grandma, and I felt bad because there's only been a couple times in my whole life that I've lost it on my grandma, and it's always been over my child, though, because it's like, that's my baby, you know what I'm saying? You're my grandma, and I will always respect you, but when you are playing with my kids, I'm not going to respect you, and I'm not going to respect that. There's nothing I'm going to be cool about when it comes to that. However, I have held myself together this whole time, and I really just lost it the last time I talked to her, and I definitely felt really bad about it, and I still haven't even actually addressed it with her because I haven't, like, been able to. I've had so much going on, and then I had recently had some different adversities with people I'm close to and care about, and I was like, the last thing I need is to, like, try to make amends there, and then I'm still carrying other hurt right now. And I don't want to get triggered, because that's another part of my maturity and growth, is understanding I'm not all the way matured and grown in my anger yet. You know, because I can't just manage it anymore. It's time to get rid of it. And I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there now, because I understand now that it's like, there is no other option. You know, there is no such thing anymore as managing my anger. It's time for me to have to actually, like, get rid of it. Stop getting mad. Stop being resentful. Stop being angry and holding on to these feelings of disappointment and sadness, because, you know, it's not worth it, and it's hurting me, and it only hinders me. And every time I become that person again that freaks out, even if it's permitted, then here it goes, feeling the narrative that I'm just this angry person when I really never have been. It's just I have anger. I'm not angry. And there is a difference. I've never just been angry. I have anger. And it's because I get angry because it pisses me the fuck off when people act so dumb and naive to what's obvious and real, and not just, oh, I'm just so angry for no reason. Like, no, it's like, you blatantly disrespected me. Of course I'm going to be mad about that. You know, it's like you're trying to make it seem like I'm being irrational, when it's like you're irrational, because you're trying to pretend like you don't understand what the problem is. And that would make me even more mad. It's like you are gaslighting me. But now it's like I'm realizing it's not for me to get that upset over, because if people want to be crappy people or ruin their own lives or treat you shitty, what I have to understand, I understand it now, but now it's just working on it, is understanding that when people are doing that stuff to us as other people, you know, like when we're being the good people and they're being the shitty people, we have to understand that's like, it's not to take it personally, because it's like, it says more about you than me, and I don't have to feel any type of way, because if I have to just lose you instead of dealing with that because you don't want to deal with that, that is still a win for me, and it's a loss for you, because I know I'm a good person, and I know I'm a genuine person, and I know I'm a loyal person, and I'm a respectful person, and I care about people, and I love people from the bottom of my heart with no expectation, just for who they are. And because of that good nature I have inside of me, which I put to the, you know, I put that with the love of God and the heart of God that He's always provided me with. It's like, because of all that, with all that being said, I mean, it's like, I don't owe people, first of all, an explanation for what they did to hurt me, because we all know what you did, because you did it. A. B, I don't have to explain why I feel some type of way, because I know I'm so clear in who I am and my boundaries that you knew it was going to upset me. And B or C, it's like, I don't got to maintain a relationship with anybody who's not willing to give me what I ask of them, especially when the things I'm asking of them are free. So, yeah, like, that's it. It's like, I'm learning how to truly love myself, and that's a part of it. It's like not bending my boundaries for others because I want to prove a point, or I'm being too forgiving, because there is such a thing as too much forgiveness. You know, it's like, you can forgive people, but you don't have to just keep forgiving them, and then but allowing them in your life. And that was my problem. I would like allow people to be in my life over and over and over again when they already made it very clear that they don't deserve to be, and they don't even really want to be, because if they wanted to be, they wouldn't be doing stuff that would make them undeserving of my presence. So yeah, I guess that's it. That's kind of, you know, I know it's, damn, I think I'm probably at like about 15 minutes now. That was a rant for real. I'm 43 minutes, but that's good. You know, that's it. That's all I really got to say for the rest of it for the part 2. I'll keep going. I got to make more. I'm going to keep making them more frequently. That was my bad for taking this long, but it just was a long week, and, you know, whatever, life. But everything's good. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. You know, back on. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. That's why it's the name, because it's fine. Everything is fine. Love you guys.